Ah yes, it's that time again, where Konami has released yet another level 2 monster, and for us to unlock all 200 IQ of our brain power to work out, where could we possibly play a level 2 monster? But this isn't just any old sprite collab, no. This one gets to make use of the poor Konami intern who forgot that we're no longer living in 2005, and when printing cards, you should probably remember to include once per turn in your card text. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before getting to the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, so apparently about 35% of watching this are even subscribed to the channel, meaning 65% of you haven't even subscribed yet. So if you guys are enjoying this kind of content and will see more videos from me in the future, or more deck lists from me in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. Alright, so today's deck list is obviously going to be Gishki in combination with Sprite. Now why exactly would you want to play these two archetypes together? Well basically, unlike in the TCG where Sprite Elf is completely banned, in Master Duel, this card is fully legal, meaning you can combine it with things like your Gishki Abyss to generate a shit ton of value. When this card is summoned, you add one Gishki monster with 1000 less defense from your deck to your hand, except itself. Where's the once per oh, that's right, there isn't a once per turn. This thing you can summon it multiple times a turn, you can summon it multiple times a duel, and you're basically just going to be able to search for a shit ton of cards in your deck list and generate a buttload of value. Because this thing, if you guys didn't know, in Gishki, it's basically the Manju of the archetype. This thing can search for any of your monsters, and you have two monsters in your deck list, one of which can be discarded to search for your ritual monsters, and the other can be discarded to search for your ritual spell cards. So summoning this thing, linking it off into a Sprite Elf, will basically guarantee you a ritual monster and a ritual spell card. Speaking of the ritual monster, Gishki just got itself another gigantic boss monster in your Numanus. This thing can be ritual summoned using any Gishki ritual spell card. If this thing is ritual summoned, you can target one water monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summoned from the extra deck. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can return a Gishki ritual monster you control to the hand, and if you do, negate the activation. If you do that, shuffle the card into the deck list. So this thing can generate a bunch of value by itself because it brings back cards from the graveyard, and of course it's a nice little monster negate that can be recycled by just summoning it multiple times over the course of a duel. Alright, then we have the other couple of brand new cards for the archetype, starting off with your Focused Aquamirror. This thing is a absolutely massive consistency boost for the deck list. This thing can add one Gishki monster from your deck to your hand, and that's the main use of it. Then, during the end phase, if you control a water ritual monster, you banish this card to set one Aquamirror Spell and Trap card from your deck or graveyard straight to the field, which will generally be your Aquamirror Illusion, which allows you to then re-summon this card to the field after you've used it once to negate something, to then just summon it again and have another monster negate ready to use. Alright, then we have the other new addition, your Gishki Grimness. This card is also another insane consistency boost. If you ritual summon exactly one ritual monster with a card that effects requires blah blah blah, this thing can be used as the entire tribute, the same effects that all your other Gishkis have that you would have seen a billion times if you've gone through the archetype before. Alright. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon one Gishki monster from your deck, except Gishki Grimness. Also, you can only declare attacks with ritual monsters until the end of this turn. So this thing, when you summon it, will be allowed to then summon out a copy of your Gishki Abyss. This thing gets you a Search, and that's two monsters on the field to then go into your Sprite Elf, to then summon back your Abyss to get another Search. That's the main combo of this deck list. And you'll also notice, this is very important, this thing stops you being able to attack with anything that isn't a ritual monster until the end of the turn, so you generally don't want to use this thing too often going second. This is more your going first play. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the deck list portion of the video. Let's get into some gameplay showcasing what this deck list can do. Alright, so before we get into some actual gameplay, I thought I'd quickly show off a couple of the basic combos for this deck list, so you guys get a good understanding of just how to play the deck list, and exactly what I'm doing during the gameplay, so you don't get completely confused and just not understand what the hell is going on. So to start with, we'll start off with the first basic combo with a deck list. You'll be going for this most games if you happen to open it, and that is just a single copy of Aqua Mirror and nothing else. Pretend the rest of my hand is all just completely brick cards, other than the single copy of Aqua Mirror. You can also open just the monster I'm about to search for with Aqua Mirror, the only difference being you won't get to search for a trap card during the end phase, but you'll still end on a very formidable end board, so it doesn't particularly matter anyway. Alright, so you can activate your Aqua Mirror. Aqua Mirror is going to give you a surge, giving you a copy of your Grimness. Alright, now we can summon out your Grimness. This will give you a surge. Summoning out a copy of your Gishki Abyss, which is a disgusting card. I got to abuse this a lot when playing Duel Links actually. Because this card, it's not a hard once per turn. So activate your Abyss. Abyss will give you a surge, giving you either the Ritual Searcher or the Ritual Spell Searcher. It doesn't particularly matter because you're going to search for the other one either way. So we'll search for this one first. Then we're going to make our first copy of Sprite Elf, which will simply resummon the card we just used, to then search for the other card for, yeah, if you didn't search the Ritual Monster, you'd search for the other one now. That made no sense, but you'll see anyway. Sprite Elf is now going to resummon the Abyss, which is now going to search for the one we didn't search for last time. So you're going to search for your copy of Vision. So now we have the one that searches for the Ritual Monsters and the one that searches for the Ritual Spells, both in hand. And we're going to just search for them both. So activate this, grab you your Ritual Spell, making sure to grab your Photo Mirror, and activate your Vision, and this will give you your Ritual Monster. Alright, from here we can activate the Photo Mirror, which just uses life points, so you don't have to worry about any sort of tributes or anything to summon out your Ritual Monster. Does use a lot of life points to be fair, but it's fine. Alright, summon out your big dude, him on summon, then gives you a special summon back from the graveyard. Alright, bringing back whichever one doesn't particularly matter. And from here, these two cards can now go into a copy of your Sprint. Alright, activating your Sprint's effect, this can send one of your fishes to the graveyard, your Anglers. Activate your Angler's effect. This will summon your two dudes to the field, which will be your two Sunfishes, because unfortunately this card got limited. Alright, so summoning your two Sunfishes. Alright, from here we can now use your two Sunfishes to go into a copy of your, where is it, your cat. Summoning your cat. And these two cards are now going to go into a copy of your Gigantic. Alright. Activating the Gigantic's effect, detaching a card from below it. Doesn't particularly matter which one you choose to detach. And this will summon a copy of Ibly to the field. Very disgusting card, Ibly. Now we're going to summon out a Sprite Elf using the Ibly, and because we're doing that, we're now going to give the Ibly to the opponent, essentially just locking them. Alright, summoning the Elf, activating the Ibly, chucking it onto my opponent's field, and this will trigger the cat on your field. And this is how you get a hold of your standard Sprite combo. Because now we can just grab a copy of your Sprite Blue, summon it to the field, and we can do your standard Sprite stuff from here. So your Sprite Blue, search for your Sprite Jet, activate your Sprite Jet, search for your Sprite Starter. And here you have a choice actually, because you can grab your Sprite Starter, or if you want to, you can also grab Smashers and just use your have a set Smashers for your opponent's turn. But generally it's better to have the Spell and Trap card searcher, or Spell and Trap card negate. So we're going to activate our Starter, summon our negate to the field, and with the two monsters on field, you can simply make a copy of your IP Masquerena. And there it is. And there's one last piece of this combo, and that is during the end phase. If you have used the spell card, you actually get to use it. Then grab a trap card from your deck, which essentially allows you to have a monster negate from this card, which returns it to hand, and then a second monster negate because you can then use the Aqua Mirror to summon it straight to the field again for another monster negate. In this case, I actually already have one in hand, so I could just summon this one, but basically, 2 monster negates, your IP Masquerader to summon out whatever you feel like from your extra deck, would that be any of these 3. You have your Sprite Elf to bring back stuff from the graveyard, you have a Carrot to negate one of your opponent's things, and of course there's a nasty Ibly on the field, which means your opponent he's gonna struggle to try to play through this. Alright, so for our second combo, I just wanted to show off a hand where, let's just say, we didn't actually open this Aqua Mirror, and we just had to play with other cards in our hand, because I just want to showcase this deck list isn't just focused around that combo. You can definitely play the game if you don't open it. That's just the sort of optimal way to do it, because it's a 1-card combo, but with the rest of the cards in my hand, I can easily set up a very similar end board. For example, if I just opened a copy of my Abyss in combination with any of the Sprite cards, literally any of them, and I'll still end on a very similar end board. Because I can just activate my Abyss, activate the Abyss's effect. This will give you a search for, once again, grabbing you your Ritual Spell Searcher. So now I can special summon out your Sprite card. Gives you a search, grabbing you a copy of your Jet. These 2, of course, are going to make the Sprite Elf. Alright. You then activate the Sprite Elf's effect to revive the monster we just used to search, then get, of course, another search. And this is going to start to look very familiar to the same as the previous combo. So essentially all we needed was that one extra extender to be able to do the exact same thing. Because this is now going to search for a copy of your Ritual Monster Searcher. Then we can activate these effects, activating this one to search for your Ritual Monster. And this one to search for your Ritual Spell and Trap card, or your spell card. Alright. Grabbing your Photo Mirror. Now we can use your Photo Mirror's effect, of course, summoning out your big dude. Basically, the only thing you really need to worry about with this deck list is because your monster negate in this version of the deck list, as opposed to previous versions of Sprite, is using a high level monster. You just want to make sure you summon out your Ritual Monster as soon as you can, because otherwise you'll activate your Gigantic and lock yourself out of summoning this, or you activate something like your Sprite Starter and once again lock yourself out of summoning this, so make sure to just summon it as soon as you can. Alright. Then we can use this thing's effect, revive back from the graveyard, and now it's basically the exact same as the previous combo. Because these 2 cards can now make a copy of your Sprint. Your Sprint, of course, is going to send your card to the graveyard, which can then summon the 2 dudes to the field. It's still so surprising to me that the cards they chose to nerf for Sprite are just like, they're so random. Choosing the Nimble cards, but anyway. Alright, Nimble summoning the 2 Sunfish. Sunfish 1, Sunfish 2. Alright, these are going to create your cat. And of course, these 2 cards over here are going to create your Gigantic. And your Gigantic, summon your Ibly. And you've already seen all this from the previous combo, but I'll complete it just for the purpose of the replay. Alright. Gigantic detach. It's actually a baby screaming next door, so I really hope you guys can't hear that on the mic. Alright, summoning this Ibly to the field. If you can hear that on the mic, I apologize, because I'm probably not going to bother re-recording this. Alright. These 2 cards are now going to make a copy of your Sprite Elf. Really testing my noise cancellation. Alright. Of course, because you used your Ibly as linked material, you can now give it to your opponent. The Mannequin Cat is now going to trigger. This gives you your Sprite. Alright, summoning one from graveyard or deck doesn't particularly matter. Alright, now because we of course used this earlier, we can't use it again, but that's fine. Just showing that if you actually opened, whichever Sprite you open doesn't particularly matter, because at some point you'll get to use Blue's effect. Then we'll summon out your Jet. Jet gives you your Search, gives you your Starter, or your Smasher. If you opened Red, by the way, if you probably couldn't summon it again to the field because you've already used it as a material, you could just grab your Smashers, doesn't particularly matter, just you won't have a Spell and Trap card negate. But in this case, because we haven't used it, we can just grab your Starter. Alright, your Starter's now going to special summon your Carrot to the field. And these 2 cards are now going to make your IP Masquerader. And once again, ended on the exact same end board, and we didn't even need to use Aqua Mirror for it, which is just showcasing that you can. Alright, let's jump into some actual gameplay now. Alright, let's jump into these replays. So, just a fair warning, these replays are a little bit scuffed, as it was my first time experiencing playing some of these brand new cards, so I did mess up a couple of times, missed Lethal in the second replay and a whole bunch of other misplays and stuff, but in general, you get a general gist for what this deck list does just from these examples anyway. Alright, so summon out my Grimness, special summon out my Abyss, getting a Search, grabbing the Shadow. Alright, these two are now going to make an Elf. Elf can revive back the Abyss. Abyss, of course, getting a Search, grabbing the Vision. Shadow discard, getting a Search, grabbing your Photo Mirror. Vision discard, getting a Search, grabbing your Ritual Monster. Alright, Photo Mirror, summoning out my dude to the field. Now we are completely safe from any hand traps, so our opponent's holding on to like an Nibiru or an Ash Blossom or something. Alright, summoning the two dudes back to the field using the Ritual Monster's effect, going into my Scrying. Now my opponent did actually have the Ash Blossom here, so I had an option. I could have negated it with my Ritual Monster here, but I was a little bit scared that if I did this, my opponent might have a Nibiru waiting or some other hand trap waiting, and I wasn't really that in need of this card anyway, because you will see I basically end on the same end field from the example combos anyway, because we haven't opened a Sprite Blue. So I was like, I'll let this Ash Blossom go off. So I'm pretty sure I can still end on a very similar end board, if I even let it go through. It also means I have to keep this on the field for negates during my opponent's turn. Alright, he summons out his Sprite. Summons out his Blue, grabbing my Jet. Summon the Jet. Getting a Search, of course, grabbing the Starter. These two can now make the Cat. Alright, summoning out the Ibly to the field. These two can now link off into a Sprite Elf, triggering the Ibly to go to my opponent's field, or Ibly. Alright, Mannequin Cat going to be summoning out a Blue. Starter summoning out a copy of Carrot. Activate Aqua Mirror, searching for my other Ritual Monster, which is pretty useful by the way, because we got the trap card at the end of the turn. It means I can actually have two Ritual Monsters on the field. Not that matters too much considering they return to hand for negates anyway, so this guy would negate, I could summon it again. But it's cool that I could have both on field potentially. Alright, they're making my IP Masquerade using the two remaining monsters, and we're good to go, because we can obviously just summon back the Carrot during the end phase, or during our opponent's main phase anyway. And end phase, of course, grabbing our Illusion. Alright, what's our opponent gonna do? Activates Kashtira. Of course, as soon as he does so, I can now grab my spell. Alright, my spell and trap card negate. Alright, activates this. I'm going to Ash Blossom and Joy Spring this. I could have negated with my Carrot, but I was a little bit scared there, so I didn't really bother. And yeah, he just concedes from there. So that's just a little example of playing through some hand traps and some other stuff. Not the most exciting example, but hopefully the other two replays you'll get a good gist of how this deck list can do, because we've got at least one going second replay I recorded. And I think the last replay was a replay of me not opening the standard opening combo, so I can actually show something different. Alright. So opponent's summoning out his Ogre, searching for his Big Bang. Alright, now he's going to use those two cards to go into a copy of Baron de Fleur. Now, we actually opened the Kashtira counter here, so we're actually pretty set in if we did go for full Kashtira combo. It would have been pretty gross. We'd have an Ash Blossom, but thankfully we did actually have the out to it anyway. Not that we even really needed this game, because we only ended on one copy of Baron de Fleur, so we only just need to get rid of this thing, really. So activating the book, making sure to have the toggle on, so during the standby phase, so I can use it first. So if he has Max C, I can have Ash Blossom for it. Make sure he doesn't get to activate his Max C first. So I really didn't want him to negate my Ash Blossom trying to do with his Max C, so I wanted to make sure he negated this thing first. Alright. Taking the card. This guy's gonna look at the top of my deck. I don't care about any of this, so there's not that many one-offs in my deck, so you're alright. Alright, Aqua Mirror searching for my Abyss. Summoning Abyss. Now you'll notice I searched for Abyss here and didn't search for the card that could search for Abyss like the other monster. That's because, I believe I revealed it here actually, so I can show it to you. This card basically has a little thing on it where it says you can only attack with Ritual Monsters for the rest of the turn. I want to attack with everything, so I'll try to go for lethal, so We didn't search for that one. We decided to just go for Abyss, and because I have Sprite Counter in hand, I can show off that same combo that you saw from the combo tutorial, where I can just summon it out anyway. Or go for the same sort of combos anyway, because I just needed one extender. Alright, summoning out my Ritual Monster. Ritual Monster's going to revive back from Graveyard. Unfortunately, I forgot about this card completely, and I just absolutely cucked myself, because he just stopped me summoning back. Not the end of the world, we can still play the game, but I definitely screwed up there. Alright, summoning a carrot. These two can now go into a Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf can revive. Unfortunately, we do only play one copy of the Monster Searcher. Maybe I should consider running a second copy of this for situations like this, because I've got an Aqua Mirror, but I haven't got another a way to get a hold of the other Ritual Monster. Normally, you could actually use your Herald of Pure Light here to add back a card from the graveyard, to add back this dude, so then you can have a search, then go into the Aqua Mirror for the second Ritual Monster, but obviously he banished it face down, so I can't do that. That's generally why we only play one, because you can normally recycle them anyway. Alright, these two cards are going to go into a Gigantic, which is now actually quite big, being 3200. Summon out the blue. Blue's grabbing the Jet. There was definitely some sort of lethal here, by the way, but unfortunately, my clock at this point was, I think, like 10 seconds or something. Like, it was getting extremely low. So I was trying to speedrun this, and didn't quite get there. There was definitely a lethal here somewhere. Banish that monster, go to battle phase, swing in, activate this. I don't know why I did it in this order. Leaving him on 400 life points. There was definitely a lethal here somewhere. I also didn't even need to banish his monster. I could have just let this thing swing in and hit it, and then it would have traded. And this dude's actually immune to being destroyed by monsters special summon from the extra deck. So I could just let that happen, then have some life points, and still kept my monster on the field. And actually still had smashes for follow-up for disruption during his turn. But I quite literally, at the end of that turn, had 0 seconds on the timer. Literally 0, so I couldn't spare an extra second. My brain was just too small. Alright, summon out his Kashtira stuff. I stupidly use my Sprite to return one of those cards to hand, even though he has this thing on the field, so we can literally just normal summon it again. God, I actually have 0 Brain Cell. Not that it particularly matters though, because we're not that scared of anything he summons. He's going to use his Big Bane to get rid of 2 monsters on the field, but we've got a negate ready. Tries to use his Monsters of Fate, I just destroy it. Destroy it by returning my monster to hand. Oh sorry, returning his monster to the extra deck. And then during my turn, yeah, he's pretty screwed. Alright, on to the final replay. Yeah, that was definitely the most scuffed of the replays you're gonna see today. If you guys pick up this deck list and you sort of learn how the stuff works, I'm sure you can get very good at it and you'll stop doing silly misplays like I'm doing. It's definitely a King of Games. It's definitely a Master 1 worthy sort of a deck list if you're willing to put in the hours, but it may take a little bit of time to get there compared to just playing Kashtira or something. But it's definitely good enough to reach there. It's essentially just playing another variant of Sprite, and Sprite is obviously good enough. Alright, so this time I actually have Ibly in hand, which is really annoying, because I can't do the Ibly part of the combo, so I have to sort of make it up as I go along, just play standard sort of Gishki, but with some Sprite stuff going on. It's not too bad, just we don't get the Ibly lock on our opponent's field. To be fair, the Ibly lock isn't really that important anyway, considering your opponent can just swing in with the Ibly, put it in attack position and swing in, I'm pretty sure, so I'm not really, it's mostly just to force your opponent to basically skip their battle phase and take 1 billion damage. If they want to out it. Alright, summoning out the Ritual Monster, making sure we can't get hit by any hand traps or anything annoying. Searching for another copy of it, just because we can. Summoning out a Sprint. Sprint's going to be sending a card to the graveyard. I decide this time around I'm actually going to negate that Ash Blossom. Because unlike on that last replay, I don't actually have any other extenders here. So if he does do that, I'd have to like turn these two into Gigantic and then... I don't know, it felt kind of awkward. So I decided, now I'm just going to bounce this. Maybe that was incorrect to do, but whatever. Alright, summon my 2 fish. These 2 fish become a Mannequin Cat. Mannequin Cat can actually target my opponent's Ash Blossom, which allows me to summon the Carrot from the deck. These 2 can then become a Gigantic. Gigantic, of course, can start doing the sprite stuff. Blue, summon, oh, grab Jet. Jet, grab the Smashes. These 2 become a Sprite Elf, and then we pass the turn on that. I could have, instead of grabbing Smashes, gone for summoning the Sprite from deck spell cards so that I can go into an IP, which might have been better, but I don't know. I was pretty happy with the field I ended on anyway. It's good enough. Summon back the Carrot. Bouncing the card. And this Ash Blossom being on his field is really annoying, because unless he wants to go to battle phase and swing it in, it means my opponent can't actually summon any of his cached heroes currently. Opponent's going to use Triple Tactics, we're going to negate that. So at the very worst, we won't go die this turn, so our opponent would have to go to battle phase. Now, of course, we're going to banish that so he can't do his summon from hand. And he just concedes before it even happens. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. I apologise they were a little bit scuffed, but hopefully you got to enjoy the misplays anyway. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Hope to see you guys in the next one, and laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.